Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and welcome to From the Black Hole, featuring Lars Lowther and Jeff Salisbury, and I'm Rob Notenboom. On today's podcast, we discuss the recent friendlies of the Canadian men's national team. We include a press conference with Christine Sinclair and Kaylyn Kyle. We discuss our Canadian MLS team's performance in the recent Superdraft, and we finish it all off with a new feature, the Hashtag Challenge. So it's been a pretty big, interesting, maybe, depending on your perspective, week for the Canadian men's national team. A friendly against Denmark, a friendly against the United States, their bitter rivals from the South. Some pretty interesting talking points, I think, from those two games. Very strange to have two friendlies in January. It might be the first time that that's happened, at least in my memory. And there's been a lot of debate as to whether or not these friendlies were good, bad, necessary, unnecessary, a waste of money, productively used. The first topic we're going to talk about today is what we think about that. Maybe I'll throw this to you, Lars, first. Were these worth it? Are these worth it, or were they not worth it? Let's talk through the positives and negatives of these two friendlies.
It was more worth playing than not playing. Whether we had the right opponents is a matter for debate, and we can talk about that later. But playing the games, I think, is the most important thing, and if we want to get better collectively as a team, especially with young players, we need to be playing tough teams. They need to know what to expect. Sorry, I'm rushing here, but diamonds aren't created in pillows. They're created under immense pressure. So yes, we need to play tougher teams. Was it right to throw them to the wolves to Denmark there? I don't think so, but we can maybe talk about that later. Jeff?
Absolutely, these games are worth playing. I mean, there's no question. Every single chance that the team has to be able to have a camp and to be able to play needs to be taken. I mean, that's just we're not in a position where we don't have the depth of quality where we can just suddenly decide that we don't really, that we don't want to play on one of the dates. I mean, it's more of a financial debate than anything when it comes to the national teams. But, every chance that we feasibly can, we need to be playing. And especially now that we're already knocked out of Brazil, we need to be playing these young guys as much as possible. Quite frankly, I don't know why we don't pretty well field the U23 team with a few of the guys from the U20 and the current national team peppered throughout, and just, essentially, it's all about planning for the future at this point. There's nothing else that's left to do but to plan for the future. So, worth it. Playing against Denmark, worth it. I don't think there's a problem of us playing against Denmark. I think we need to play against teams that are going to come out and beat us like that, who are playing against high-level European competition all the time. Because only if we play against teams like that are we actually going to realize what we could come up against if by chance we somehow magically do ever make it to the World Cup again in any of our lifetime. So not to get too pessimistic there, but...
Well, you guys are younger than me, so that's even more pessimistic coming out of you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
No, I think I would probably fall on the same side of that argument as you guys. I was excited that they were playing. I mean, it was a tester for some of these new guys. What do you think we could take out of the games themselves? Were there particular points that you guys saw that come out of that game that are something that we can look forward to going forward? Points of interest? What do you think? We may as well keep going around, Lars. Go ahead, lead this one off.
Well, let's not talk about the Denmark game because that was awful and it was extremely difficult to watch.
Let's talk about the Denmark game.
But I don't think there's a lot that you can draw from the Denmark game other than we were completely out of our league. There was even a little bit more of that. Like we were still outplayed by the U.S., but we got lucky in the sense that they couldn't break us down. They had a lot of difficulty beating defenders in any manner that was not related to athleticism or fitness. And what I say when I'm saying that is their entire game plan just sort of seemed to be, I think Dino Rossi may have summed it up best, kick the ball down the field and then try and beat our defenders on speed and athleticism, playing direct football rather than trying to utilize skill. And we were playing an MLS All-Star team, for lack of a better term. It was the best American MLS players that they could pull together to throw against the very young Canadian squad. The Canadian players played very well. There were defensive errors, but they were managed, and Dejan Jakovic did a great job. And he was very edgy out there. I'd like to actually come back and talk a bit about Jakovic later, because just how he defended was unbelievable. But I'll pass this off to Jeff here and not hog too much time.
Well, seeing as how none of us saw the Denmark game and could only piece together what really happened via Twitter.
I saw the
did you guys?
Denmark game. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so am I the only one that missed both of them? Is my Canadian national team cred like down the toilet at this point?
I don't think that's something that you should admit on something that we're going to publish, even if only our mums are going to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Well, it's all right. Now that we've definitely discovered that, no, I didn't I was not able to watch either of the games due to work commitments. So for the Denmark match, if we take anything from the comments, obviously our defending was atrocious. They walked all over us. We didn't have any very good attacking moments. It was just a total wash. That U.S. game, though, if anything, I have to say the States needs to just suck it up and realize that as of right now, MLS is not creating a quality player that's going to be able to compete on the national stage, and they better just pray that they get enough guys in the Premier League playing alongside Clint Dempsey there.
What'd you call him? Gimp?
Klimp.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry,
I'm like combination between a gimp and I don't know, a clip.
Clip, yeah. Sorry, I'm
gimp.
I'm 3/4 way through my second beer here, so it's
hashtag Klimp.
I don't know if you should be bragging about your alcohol tolerance.
Yeah.
Well, he's definitely put a lot of effort into it. So.
Oh, I haven't had anything to eat since noon, so let's just live with it. But yeah, back when it comes to the U.S. match, I mean, from what I saw of the highlights, I watched both the Canadian package highlights and the U.S. package highlights. Be able to see sort of both sides of what was going on. I sure hope that Ashton Morgan gets better this season, because he had a couple of moments there, at least in the replays, where he got absolutely fried. And, I mean, they still couldn't do anything with their attacking possession against us. But a higher quality side, we get burned there. We get scored on. There's no two ways about it. They'll find a way to do it. Yeah, you're right. Jakovic, Lars, was awesome. Dan had just, from everything I saw, had an awesome game. And you know what? As you know, there's so many people that are just like, oh, we can't rag on Dayro. Dayro's good stuff. I've never rated Dayro very high, and I still don't. He missed multiple opportunities. He had a free header that he completely put wide. He had that one attempt. I mean, that one attempt right off the bat, what was it, 6th minute, I think, of the game, where he half volleyed that shot that Sean Johnson had to parry away. That was nice, but I just wonder if there was any way that could have been better quality, like a better shot. I don't know. I've just never rated Dayro as highly maybe as other people have, and I mean, he's a good guy and all that. I can't wait for our new generation and really hope that we have a guy that has the same flash, but can also finish better for the national team. So,
just to pick up on your Dayro comments, when I was watching that live, I honestly thought he was going to bring that down and turn and look for somebody coming in to slot it to. And, he put it on the frame. He made the keeper make a save. I guess that's a good thing. But But I mean, and I didn't even see anybody making the run, right? But if he brings that down, he's going away from goal. It's a left-footed shot. It would have been a very difficult shot to score on. It was a very difficult shot to put on the frame, and he managed to do it. So, props to him for that. But I was really hoping that he would bring that down, kind of turn to his left and take a look and see if somebody was running in, because it was a bit of a jailbreak on the U.S. defense side of it, right? They were scrambling, so it might have turned out better for us had he brought it down. But anyway, we've kind of segued. Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it always is, isn't it? We've kind of segued a little bit into comments and discussion about individuals, and we need to get into that a little bit, I think. Maybe this will set it up. Let's talk about whose stock went up, because of course there was a lot of discussion about this is going to be a bit of a showcase for maybe some players that people don't get a lot of people looking at what they're doing, right? Some of them don't have clubs, some of them have clubs but they don't play very often. So whose stock went up, who maybe was invisible, and did anybody's stock go down from the men's team on this the whole thing? First of all, whose stock went up?
Yakovich.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played phenomenally well. Just watching him defend was really a pleasure when he wasn't saving us from complete meltdowns, defensive meltdowns from inexperience. He was making really smart and edgy plays where he was muscling the attackers right off the ball. You would obviously say that's what a defender's supposed to do, but we're so used to not seeing it. It was very nice to see. And he did it really, really well all night for 90 minutes, so it was great.
Simon Thomas had a good game in goal, from what I hear.
He didn't have a lot to do either. Yakovich really stepped up, but definitely a clean sheet is always a good thing if you're a keeper.
Yeah.
Becker had a great night, although he's already been sort of pumped up by the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment propaganda machine. So I wouldn't say his stock rose, but more he proved that he's probably valued where he should be. Played very well last night. Hopefully this is not just him peaking at the right moment, but a symbolic of a longer trend. I'm just trying to think of who else I liked out there.
I got to agree with you on the Becker thing. It was funny because watching what he was doing from time to time, he would play a ball into a space where he was anticipating somebody's run, and often he was thinking faster than the person who should have been making that move. And maybe that's just me putting rose-colored glasses on his play. But I was kind of thinking the same thing. Okay, you make that run down the line. Becker plays the ball, and the guy isn't even really on the same page as him.
Yeah, that was exactly it.
Additionally, and I don't know, this might not be the most popular comment, but I thought Nana Atakora's stock came up over these games. He made some mistakes. The whole defense made mistakes against Denmark. On the Denmark second goal, for example, the ball got passed to a guy at the top of the 18, and three guys stepped up to take him and left the guy who eventually got the goal, and the pass came to him, and it was kind of a bonehead move. Schoolyard defending is the cliche, I believe. But
Regina Div 6.
Yeah, Regina Div 6. Yeah, not Div 5 where I am, right? It's much better.
Saskatoon Div 4.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you got to pull out the Div 4 thing, do you?
Yeah,
oh,
Saskatoon Div 4.
Yeah, you lord that over us, Jeff.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I thought Nana
still better than Czech Div 5. I don't know.
That's probably true. But Nana, I thought played a very good game in the U.S. game as well. I thought he looked better than he has for a long time. And it's funny because I think back to a few years ago when he and Adrian Can were paired up at TFC in the center of the park, and they were pretty strong. They were a pretty strong pairing. He was playing very well. He didn't make a lot of mistakes, and he seemed to have confidence. And then that kind of disappeared for a while, so I'm glad to see that maybe he's making a bit of a comeback.
Yeah, so, I think a guy like that needs to kind of step away for a little bit and get centered, because Nana started out really strong at TFC back in the day, and then I think he was kind of overplayed, and the pressure of the team not doing well really weighs on a person's conscience. You start second guessing your own abilities, I think, at that point, and I think it was good that he sort of kind of disappeared for a little bit. I mean, it was scary thinking that a guy with his athletic qualities might just sort of disappear overall. But it's good to see that he's back, and I hope that he actually finds a permanent place with a pro club here soon. So
I think he's playing in Scandinavia at the moment, but he also has a buyout clause. Is that what they were saying last night on the broadcast? And he was looking at going back to San Jose. Was what they were saying from the sounds of it. So
I see.
I wish him the best, and I hope he has success in San Jose if he ends up signing with them. Hopefully better than what happened last time when he didn't play at all. It was very frustrating. With Nana, I think there were probably some issues, he had to work through with that whole TFC incident and over his contract, plus the fact that he had been playing for that team almost nonstop for 3 years. So it's good to see he's back on the back on track with his pro career, and hopefully he can work his way back to MLS or a higher league.
All right, this is Jeff here. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the press conference with Kaylyn, Kyle, and Christine Sinclair, who had both played in a exhibition game along with a couple of teams from youth girl teams from Saskatoon that had played at nationals. One had actually won the gold medal for the under-18 girls. I was joined by a fellow Canadian men's national team supporter and women's national team supporter, Lee Cormish, who also writes for the Saskatoon Star Phoenix. And we were lucky enough to attend the presser and be able to ask some questions. So the next little bit of audio is from that presser.
It was really cool playing at home today.
So the NWSL was just established recently, and the two of you just were allocated to both Portland Thorns and the Seattle Reign.
Yeah. We're rivals.
Teams, so,
we're rivals.
Yeah, exactly. So how important is that to you guys, getting onto the teams now that the professional league is basically back up and running?
I think it's something that needs to happen, to have a sustainable professional league in North America. Not only just for women's soccer, but for our national teams. I think to have 16 players playing professionally day in and day out against the best players in the world, it's only going to help us. Because I think, most of us are at a point in our careers where ideally we didn't want to have to go overseas to play. And to have the league, I think it's perfect. Now we just need to make it sustainable. And I think for Kaylyn and I too have been named on the two biggest rivals. I think it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It'll be fun.
Excellent. So before that league was announced, had you guys already made plans for your professional careers at all, or?
There had been talks about the new league, so I think a couple of us were just really waiting to hold out because I don't think a lot of us were ready to go overseas. So when the media was asking, we're like, yeah, we got contracts in Sweden and Denmark and Germany, but I think a lot of us were really hoping to stay in North America. And I think with the last World Cup and then this Olympic Games, women's soccer has really grown in North America. I hate to say it, but the U.S. does bring in a lot of the fan base, and so does Canada now with our performance from the Olympics. So I really hope that the league is able to kind of stay alive this year, and so then it's kind of there for our youth, and it's just kind of a developmental thing, and they can come into the league, and our coaching staff can watch them game in and game out. They can fly down. It's a quick flight, so I think it's going to be really important, and I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to be 16.
Kaylyn,
what?
Sorry, did I stutter?
Yeah, sorry.
Kaylyn, I have no doubt in my mind that this girl should have been in that final three for FIFA, and I want to know your thoughts on it. And Christine, when you see Marta up there, everyone in this room knows that your seat should have been in that spot instead of her from 2012. Kaylyn, I just want to hear your thoughts on it.
I held back from tweeting about it because yeah, it's a first for me. I didn't want to get in trouble right after the Olympics, just with kind of everything happening. I didn't want to mess with FIFA because Sink kind of put us. I mean, she's got her 4-game suspension already, so it's okay. But yeah, I mean, obviously, there's nothing you can do about it. It sucks, and I think everyone in the world, not even in Canada, knows that Sinky should have been on that stage. But I mean, it's those things that you can't control. I mean, it goes from our semifinal game to us winning the bronze medal match. It's just everything happens for a reason, and I think it's kind of, as much as it sucks that she wasn't there, because I think she should have won the award. Kind of made for good press, and it did. It really did. You don't want to hear it, but obviously it kind of gives us that drive in 2015, though, in the World Cup. I think Sink has been on this team for a couple years now, like 5 years? 2 years. And she's really been the spine of the team, and it sucks having one of the top female players in the world being on your team and not being able to win anything for her, and not being recognized for that. So I think in the Olympics we did something great. She still didn't get recognized for it, so it's just going to give us that extra drive in 2015, and I can't wait. So
For sure.
she'll get in 2015, promise you that.
Probably want my thought.
Yeah, Christine, I want to hear what to see Alex Morgan sitting on that stage with Marta and Abby, and you know you belong on that stage.
But I actually got to vote, and I actually voted for Alex Morgan.
I would have voted for Alex Morgan.
Okay, fair enough.
Because, I mean, personally, I think she should have won, Alex.
Okay.
But, no, I think it just goes to show sort of where women's soccer is still on the global scale. You know, I think of the fact that our head coach wasn't among the final 3 either. You know, he took our team from finishing dead last at the World Cup to within a year bringing home an Olympic medal. And for him not to have been honored, I think surprises me more, because I actually think he should have won, hands down. But you know, I don't play the sport for the FIFA World Player of the Year award. You know, I got my Olympic medal, and that's all I wanted from this year. So.
Do you keep an eye on Abby Wambach's goal total as you score?
No. People even ask what mine's at, and I'm like, I don't know.
We have to tell
That's
her.
right. I knew you were going to say that, but I knew you
Never
were
mind
going
what
to
Abby's
say
is.
that.
Things like, what's mine?
And do you feel, do you like that the World Cup is expanding in teams?
Yeah, you know, I think there might be some blowouts,
Great.
but I think it's what needs to happen in order to grow the women's game worldwide. I think some of the countries that will get into the World Cup, it's exactly what they need to, you know, I don't know, there's sort of like a handful of like 12 teams that seem to always play against each other. They're always in the World Cup, they're always in the Olympics, and it's a sort of an exclusive group. But we need more national teams part of that group, and the only way that like a Costa Rica is going to get better is by playing the best teams in the world, and by, you know, maybe qualifying for a World Cup, and it forces their federation to support them a bit more. And you know, obviously we want Canada to win, but I think we also want the game to grow within the world. You know, we need it to continue to develop.
The whole country is going to be watching this team in 2015, and pressure's got to be on a little bit to at least get to the semifinal. What's the team's goal? Or, like, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, you know, but any thoughts on, like, it's still a couple years away, but thoughts on that? Pressure is on type thing?
Do you want to take this one?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Honestly, I think it's kind of the same mindset as going into the Olympic Games. Obviously, as the years go on, the game needs to progress, and the team needs to change. Obviously, we were one of the older teams in the Olympics, so we just got back from China, and it was a younger camp, and he's giving the younger players a shot on the field and get playing minutes and their first caps and kind of get those nerves out now. But I think it's an exciting time. We're kind of changing the way Canada soccer is going to play, and it's a secret, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully stepping on that field in 2015 and showing Canada a different side of the Canadian women's national team, and a brand of soccer that's enjoyable to play and watch, and I'm really looking forward to it.
What's it like John Herdman as a coach and his entire coaching staff, and how's that sort of shifted things from Kaylyn and Marachi that era?
Do you have an hour?
Where to start? No, I think for me, John is hands down the best coach I've ever had.
Why?
Well, I mean, you just look at the fact that, like I said earlier, he took our team from dead last to an Olympic medal, and he did it with pretty much the exact same team. It's not like all of a sudden we got 12 new young players that just changed the face of our team. Not at all. He brought back the passion and the love of the sport, and he had us believing that we could beat absolutely anybody. And it's a learning environment. Everything is about being better tomorrow than you were today, whether, one little thing, that's all that matters. And it's exciting to be a part of. Even as a veteran player, you're getting better, which I think for quite a while, a lot of the veteran players were sort of just stagnant, we just sort of were where we were, and that was going to be it. And John has completely changed that.
Christine, how's your life changed after the Olympics? Good.
What?
Well, she's in Saskatchewan, so.
I mean, it's so much better. I get to hang out with Kaylyn.
Say that like you mean it. The cameras are rolling.
It's been interesting. I remember landing in the Vancouver airport with some of my teammates, and the lady that met us at the airplane after we arrived from the Olympics just goes, welcome home. Your lives will never be the same. And we're like, whatever. The country will forget in a week. And it's been crazy, But it's important for me to spend time at home. I'm a private person, I'm a quiet person. I'll do some things across Canada, but I really cherish my time at home.
You get asked about controversy on a daily basis, or is it now a monthly basis? Or
No.
Get asked about it
No, it's sort of just in the past.
The game today actually counted for a game.
Yeah,
So she's
I
back.
actually shouldn't play.
Yeah. She was still suspended today.
Oops, sorry for that.
So I suppose now that we're recording this is a little older news. It's not quite as recent. But in MLS terms, we've had the Superdraft. That's not too long ago. We have Canadian teams, getting ready, doing their preseason, and trying to figure out who's actually on the team and who's not. They're drafting players, they're signing players, they're making trades. There's lots of action there. Let's talk about the Superdraft for just a brief moment. What kind of struck you out of the Superdraft? Who made out well? What did he do that was smart? Were there any losers? What do you think about the Superdraft just in general? Lars, let's start with you. Fire away.
I mostly paid attention to what happened with Toronto there, so I'm going to talk about TFC mostly here. TFC did really well, I think, in terms of the draft. They grabbed the players they wanted, or at least it seems that they grabbed the players they wanted, and they walked away with a fair bit of allocation. The actual number we have no idea about because of MLS rules, but generally they weren't just shotgun approach picking players. They took the ones they wanted. I don't put a lot of stock into the draft, to be honest. Drafts in every sport have had a terrible tradition of misallocating players to teams and picking the wrong ones to be pros. So yeah, I don't really put a lot of stock into the draft, so I didn't really pay a lot of attention. The only reason I know what I know about Toronto is because everyone was joking about their allocation draft picks, but allocation money draft picks. But otherwise, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. It's not my cup of tea.
So if they don't sign somebody fairly soon here, or discover you're signing, that allocation money doesn't really mean much for them, though, does it?
Well, they could use it. They can use it to sign new players. They could use it to increase the pay on other players, or pay off some of the existing contracts to reduce the cap hit. the real issue, like one thing actually that really impressed me today was this trading of Joao Plata. I think it was a great move for the club. But you're right; they absolutely need to bring in new guys and stock that roster up. It seems to be an annual tradition for Toronto FC to go into preseason with a half-empty roster and no idea what the final product's going to look like. We don't. It seems like we don't end up signing any of these players until after the season's already started. So they definitely need to get on that.
Jeff, what struck you from the draft?
I would say that TFC pretty well got exactly what they sought to get out of it. They got 2 Canadians out of it. They got Kyle Becker and oh my goodness, Lars, help me with this one. Who's the second
Emery
one?
Welshman.
Emery Welshman. There we go. Sorry, yeah, they got Emery Welshman as well. 2 Canadians. I'm not sure where Welshman fits in, but I think they actually won in the grand scheme of things with that Kyle Becker pick. I think that kid is, well, he's not really a kid anymore, is he? I think he's like, what, 22,
23, I think
23,
he is,
yeah. I think Kyle Becker might actually be the real deal when it comes to a fully MLS-ready player straight out of the draft. They got a ton of allocation. That they're playing the MLS game, and I mean, what's his face? Kevin Payne knows how to play the MLS game. I mean, he's been doing it since what? Was he with DC in the beginning, or does anybody know?
I don't remember exactly when he started there, but he's been there for a long time. So obviously he knows the ropes.
Exactly, yeah, he knows.
He's
the
won
ropes.
cups, so he has more cups than pretty much anyone else at
exactly.
Toronto FC.
Well,
pretty much.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
Expansion clubs come in basically with more cups than TFC at this point, but anyway, yeah.
Here we go.
Kevin Payne knew how to play the game. When it comes to Vancouver, enough TFC talk, had enough of them. When it comes to Vancouver, they won out the best, I would say, between the 3 teams when it comes to picks. They got Mane as well as, Hurtado. I believe it's Hurtado.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they got Mane and Hurtado. That Mane kid, just from that first preseason game they were playing against New England just last night. I was watching the highlights from that. I've been reading some of the reports on that, not just from the club, but from a few guys that were down there actually watching it, and they all say that that Mane is actually looks to be like he could be the real deal. I mean, that was one of the issues they had, is they didn't have, aside from Dane Richards, they didn't really have any good wingers to be able to force the fullbacks of the opposition into tough positions, and now they have.
What about Canadian soccer Jesus?
Well, yeah, I mean they also have Russell Tybert too, so. That's good. I mean, hopefully Tybert pans out and just gets proper first team minutes this season as well. So they got Mane, they got Russell Tybert, Camilo maybe not. I don't know exactly where he fits in, but they crushed New England 4-1. I mean, it's a preseason game, so you can't really take too much from that. But they had last year's Superdraft pick up Maddox potting the goals for them, and Kikuta Mane was did one of the assists. I mean, just excellent. So I think Vancouver came out of the draft with some really excellent picks. Montreal, honestly, I think they mailed in their super draft picks. Did not give a crap. I mean, they took Blake Smith. I don't even know if anybody had heard of him before his name actually got called on the stage, which is a terrible way of saying it, but nobody here at least would have heard of him. And I mean they have all those international rosters.
Ives.
Yeah, exactly. Ivis maybe has it, but they traded away Lamar Nagel, and now they have extra international spots. I mean, Montreal is so clear cut in what they're trying to do, and it'll be really interesting to watch them over the next couple of years to see if it actually pays off, and if bringing in the European talent really, does put them a step ahead of everybody else. LA kind of has done. LA and New York have kind of done that a little bit. I mean, LA brought in Robbie Keane, New York bringing in Henri and Joe Limpier and a few others. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with Montreal, and that's in that case. So
does that mean that if we go back around the horn here and Jeff started us off with this, if we're looking at these three MLS teams and which one is kind of best situated right now to go forward into the MLS season. Does that mean that, in your opinion, Jeff, TFC's got some pieces missing, Vancouver seems to have put their pieces in place, and Montreal is maybe a little bit more of a black box? It's hard to know how that's all going to pan out. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Essentially, that's exactly it, Rob.
There, I just did your whole shtick for you.
Yeah, you basically took my entire little. I was gonna go on a massive diatribe about European players versus North American trained players, but now, yeah, at this point, TFC needs to do something with that allocation. I mean, now that they don't have, now that they've traded away Yal Plata, they don't have really a playmaker. I mean, he was a playmaker to a degree. He could play some exciting football. There's no two ways about it. When it comes to Vancouver, they have picked up some really quick guys. They're really quick on the wings. They still have that solid D now that they've gotten rid of Martin Bonjour, so they won't get penalties called against them in MLS Cup playoff games. It'd be interesting to see actually what happens with their D, because they picked up oh goodness, I can't remember now. They picked up that other defender who's actually going to factor in for them. I should know this, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyway, I think their D is going to be solid. They have a better midfield. And to me, for Vancouver, it really still comes down to whether Kenny Miller actually shows up and puts the ball in the back of the net, or if he's just a big red mark on the balance sheet in the end. So,
have you ever done any calculations about Kenny Miller's strike rate?
No, I haven't yet.
You should look that up, because it's in steep decline. And that was actually one of my questions going into the season was, are they going to keep both of the Scottish experiment guys, right? Yep. And I think it was actually probably a pretty good piece of business getting rid of Robson.
Yeah.
But and I know you really are maybe stuck with Miller a little bit, but boy, he was invisible for big chunks of games last season, and it's too bad, right? I mean, you want them to do well, but I don't see him scoring in double digits this year. And if he's not scoring in double digits, then DP money is kind of a waste of money on him, in my opinion, at least. Lars, do you want to pick up on what Jeff said? Where do you think the three Canadian MLS teams are positioned in going into training camp here?
I think Montreal is actually in the best position. It's they're building their team off of veterans. People have proven themselves before. Whether that'll work in MLS, people say it's a different league, and it is. It operates across multiple time zones, and there's a significant travel factor that you need to bring into the equation. But overall, I think they're probably in the best position in terms of players and knowing what they have with players. Whether they have it on the management or coaching side is a different question. That's a big black box, in my opinion. If we go to Vancouver, Vancouver's added some players, but if you recall back to last season, Vancouver went into steep decline, to use your phrase earlier, in the second half of the season. And the team really hasn't changed all that much. Like there's been a few additions, a few subtractions, but overall, Vancouver is still very much the same team that didn't perform from July onwards, and they sort of just snuck into playoffs. Which, hey, they've done it, but that's not good enough if they want to go farther, if they want to be truly competitive. Toronto, I sort of touched on this earlier. They're not prepared. They never have been. Every single year, we're dropping players and not adding them until literally the first week of the season, if not the second week of the season. So hopefully they sign some new players. They have been jettisoning a lot of garbage. Plata needed to go. He didn't want to come back. He wasn't good enough when he was here. He wasn't good enough to start. He looked really fancy when he was on the pitch. He had these really nice moves, but when it came down to it, he wasn't producing. I think when I crunched out his career statistics, this is not just with TFC, but when he was playing with Quito, it was 10 points. So I think it was 5 goals, 5 assists in 56 games. that just doesn't cut it. So he's not good enough to start in MLS, and it was a good move to get rid of him. I would have preferred they got money instead of a second-round pick, though.
Yeah, that second-round pick is useless, isn't it?
Yep.
It is.
Especially
totally useless.
especially if you're like me and don't value the draft at all.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm totally right there with you. I mean, that's why actually, if we can go back to TFC at the draft, I think they one of the rare times ever, like Stefan Fry would be the other example, but I think TFC struck gold with Kyle Becker. I really hope they did, both for TFC's sake and for the national team's sake. I think they found a kid who is just ready to step up and step in. And rare coming out of the draft like that. Honestly, I think him and Farrell, the guy, the defender that got selected right off the top. Right off the top is Farrell, isn't it? Isn't that his name?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, right off the top. I think those are the only two that are actually going to really pan out into being starters and will maintain their starting spots. So it will be interesting. All right, so we're actually debuting something new for this episode. We're calling it the hashtag challenge. So it's purely based on Twitter, unless you're one of those idiots that thinks that hashtags work on Facebook. So the whole idea behind this is we're going to pose a hashtag, and whoever provides the wittiest tweet using that hashtag is actually going to win themselves a 6-pack of beer of their choice from their local drinking hole establishment. So for the very first one, we were thinking we would go with the hashtag being U.S. men's national team is. So basically, hashtag USMNT is. And we want the wittiest response that anybody can possibly provide if you're listening to us. Whoever provides the wittiest response, which myself, Rob, and Lars will actually vote on, we will let you know during the next episode who we feel is the winner. And so it runs for 2 weeks, and whoever we choose, they're going to be winning a 6-pack of beer. So everybody get out on Twitter and start thinking of some excellent witty responses to the hashtag of U.S. men's national team is. And obviously this is in direct relation to their performance against Canada in the friendly on Tuesday evening. So go for it.
And that brings us to the end of From the Black Hole episode 2. For Lars and Jeff, I'm Rob. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, so until then, take care.